I feel as though the next 4 years of Welsh rugby discourse are going to be plagued by one question. Things did not go well for Wales on Saturday, as Andy Farrell's Ireland gave their new boss plenty of reasons to fist pump in a slightly too sharp suit, looking a bit like a bladdered uncle at an otherwise low-key family wedding, leaving Welsh fans and pundits alike to ask many questions, but all of them ending the same way. Or was that just because of Gatland? So, how did Jitterbugs Hexcreef's side power past Wales, and how are they looking ahead of their trip to Twickenham? And despite the loss, can Wales still expect to be competitive this championship, or was the expectation they might have had just all because of Gatland? Over the last 12 years, this fixture has traditionally had more under-the-bonnet aggro than Jeremy Kyle hosted by Peter O'Mahony. That didn't quite feel the case on Saturday, as the two teams played mostly by the book, other than this weird segment where ITV cut from covering the game to a random clip from Clash of the Titans where a demon tries to fight an actual god. I don't know. Ireland looked positively calm. Gone was the fierce rivalry and boiling over hatred, leaving me asking, do Ireland still hate us? Or was that just because of Gatland? However, I do think there might be another explanation, and it feeds into how Ireland are playing. Under Andy Farrell, Ireland looked far calmer. It wasn't that they were angry before, but stressed out. Joe Schmidt's side looked like it was permanently in the 20 minutes before an exam, having stayed up all night cramming, bleary-eyed, tightly wound, muttering under their breath, willing to punch anyone that dared talk to them, and cause them to forget that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Farrell's Ireland instead have a look of that annoying twat who rocks up before the exam, having done no work and just aces it anyway. They're still focused, switched on. They give it their all during the 80 minutes, but they're not overworking themselves beforehand. Smith's Ireland may have come out with a slightly better grade, but they're both still getting into the same uni. It's like Ireland are still riding the same bike, just now they've taken the stabilisers off. Their balance isn't 100% there, but without the little counterweights, they're able to try all kinds of rad new tricks, like setting up a ruck in the 50-metre channel. Ireland are playing far more heads-up rugby, they're playing with far fewer restrictions. And whilst that did lead to Jordan Lama running up a few blind alleys, on the whole, it got them going forwards. However, speaking of Jordan Lama running up blind alleys, let's look at Ireland's first try. Each time I've seen the highlights of this game, I've caught the start of this passage of play and wondered why it's included, because there's nothing on. The Welsh defence would just snuff this out easily, and then it doesn't. So, what happens? Our Lord and Saviour and Crown Prince of Wrexham, Nick Tompkins, drifts to cover the space. There's a hell of a step by Lama, but that shouldn't completely undo any international defence. Much like I said about George Furbank after round 1, this by Tompkins is Premiership standard defence. That's not a criticism, it's just a fact that he has one cap, and there's a steep learning curve to Test rugby when it becomes a matter of inches, not metres. However, I do think the overall criticism of Tompkins' game has been overblown. He's an eighth of a second off the pace, but you can pick that up. You can improve. The best example is this bosh by Robbie Henshaw. Yes, it goes down as a missed tackle, but really Tompkins has done his job. If that ball goes wide, there's an opportunity. Henshaw's trying to get it there. Tompkins makes sure it doesn't happen. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter so much that he cost his side a few metres in the process. And to return to Lama's try, the really bizarre thing about this isn't the one missed tackle, but how poor Wales' scramble defence afterwards is. It only takes one missed tackle 10 metres out for the try to come. This is particularly alarming because Wales' defence has adapted, under new defence coach Byron Hayward, to be somewhat more drift-based than the purely line-speed Sean Edwards approach. So, to see this drift be so half-hearted and Thomas Williams to be, unable to get his man to ground right by the try line is pretty worrying. And it kind of set the tone for the day. Wales' defence is clearly still learning its system, and so there are some fairly consistent errors in communication or acts of confusion, moments where players just don't quite know what they're doing, and all Ireland had to do, all game, was be accurate. Look at Conway's try in particular. It's a simple screenplay, which is just fancy rugby speak for there's a man standing in front of the guy who's going to catch the ball. After a few phases, it looks like Ireland are going to go with the forwards again. A three-man pod is formed quicker than Wales' defence is aligned. So the new king of the gogs knows a key hit is crucial. Devin Toner puts his hands up and begins to run as though he's going to catch the ball, meaning Tompkins figures this bald Burj Khalifa is the target, except the ball flies right past him into the arms of Ross Byrne, who then just has to draw McNichol and allow Jordan Lama to give the final pass to Conway. McNichol does well to track across and keep him in the corner, but this was just a few accurate phases, allowing for a few accurate passes. Simple rugby, really well executed. After 2 games, it appears this is what Andy Farrell's Ireland are about. It's not dissimilar to the way Rassie Erasmus stripped South Africa's game right back to basics after Alistair Coetzee turned it into a mental, overly mechanical hodgepodge, and then he built it back up slowly from there, still focused on keeping it simple. Farrell is focusing on accuracy, and anything else can come later. This was just the final flourish on a fantastic game by Andrew Conway, in complete contrast to his opposite number, poor old George North. Last week I highlighted that most of Wales' defensive errors were a result of North defending from 13 like he was on the wing, except I'd clearly given him too much credit because seeing him move back to his normal position where he's won 89 caps has given us all a fine reminder that actually he has absolutely no idea what he's doing defending in that position either. Let's look at the earliest example because boy was it early. So Wales taking the first kickoff and Williams sets the box kick. Because referees these days pay about as much attention to the 5-second rule as Tyke Furlong would if he found a baked potato on the pitch, Wales essentially have an infinite amount of time to set the defensive line before the kick. It's a perfectly good kick with plenty of height, meaning Wales are able to get 12 defenders up fairly quickly, 11 in the main line, and Williams swooping in behind for a kick. So there's absolutely no excuse for why George North is as narrow as an escalator for ants. Watching it live, I presume this was Hayward's new system, because Wales have absolutely no reason, no excuse to be out of line for things to not be formed perfectly. However, Pivac has since confirmed this was not the case. It was never supposed to be this narrow, which begs the question, why was it this narrow? North has already played plenty of games for Wales in the past where his width in defence wasn't an issue. Or was that just because of Gatland? The baffling thing was, it happened time and time again. It happened literally 2 minutes later. Here, Wales have only 1 man in the ruck and 1 man in behind. It's a 13-man defensive line. We're used to nothing getting through Wales from here, but it seems that was just because of Gatland. 1 out the back pass from Herring and a really simple dummy line from Healy are all it takes to get outside Wales because, once again, North isn't anywhere near the 15-metre line. Some sides like to leave space out wide to push you towards the touchline, but that wasn't what Wales are doing. If it was, they'd be turned out drifting diagonally, looking to pelt Ireland out wide and trap them on that line. Nothing about this is right. This wasn't a clever idea from a new coach not working or misfiring or being found out early or having teething problems. It was just shit. We should be able to learn how Wales actually want to defend next weekend when France comes to town, and Pivac's had 2 weeks to beat some sense into George. It's possible he's just spent last week having a bollocking for how he defended the 13 channel like the wing and took the wrong lessons. However, it wasn't like he was any better with the ball. I'm pretty sure I covered more ground during the game than George North on Saturday, and I was on my sofa. It's frustrating because North just looks like he needs some time away. He clearly isn't enjoying his rugby at the moment, and who can blame you when you literally play for the Ospreys? And I feel like a season sabbatical to Japan, Super Rugby, a season of 7s before the Olympics even, maybe just a beach in Malibu somewhere, is exactly what he needs. But you worry the WRU aren't going to let that happen. However, North aside, Wales were actually very good in attack. Now, I was going to go into detail on Thomas Williams' try, Wales' opening score, because it's wonderful, it's exciting, it's great, and it contains this, which YouTube may take this video down for because it's not safe for work, but, you know, I'm sneaking in there anyway, like this picture, except I kind of got carried away talking about this and wrote 5 pages on this try and how Wales' attack is evolving, and so you can expect soon enough a separate video on just what Wayne Pivac and attack coach Stephen Jones are doing, because from a pure rugby nerd perspective, it's hugely exciting. In a nutshell, they've adapted a standard modern rugby shape to promote passes between forwards, and the result, when used well, when used properly, is an incredibly dynamic structure that merges the roles of forwards and backs, meaning we see examples like this Faletau slotting in as a distributor and Parks coming in as a forward. However, it's all well and good having all the sexy innovations in the world if you can't get them firing. Ireland are playing simple rugby right now, but they look to be enjoying it. Farrell knows his side's strengths, and he's trying to get the most out of them without overloading their influence and unbalancing the team. We didn't know what he was going to be like as a coach, and I still think this Ireland side will evolve a great deal more under him before they become Faz's finished product, but I don't think it comes as a surprise to anyone to know that Farrell's approach has been sensible, logical, and ultimately so far incredibly effective, because so far there's a wonderful blend to Ireland. Whereas the last few years it's felt like they were 90% Schmidt and 10% the players, it's now far more balanced. It's the same ideas but executed in a more democratic means, meaning no matter how things go, in a few years time we won't find ourselves sat trapped in amongst identical Irish rugby discourse, asking over and over again, or was that just because of Farrell? And our dawdle through the Six Nations continues. That is the second game of round 2 covered. There are 4 on the first round, so the 3 men's games plus the England v France women's games covered, broken down in some detail. Elsewhere on the channel, plus the Calcutta Cup game from this weekend is covered, is there on the channel if you want to have a look for those, plus games in the World Cup and games from last year's Six Nations and from before that. There's all kinds of ones covered. If you want to have a look for those, you're more than welcome. You can have a look there, plus all kinds of other videos, etc. Thank you very much to everyone who supports the channel on Patreon, everyone who has done anything along those lines, who's just tweeted or commented saying nice things. They do help. As I say, I worked slowly this last week, hence only just finishing that one. But thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you soon for more. As I say, I'm going to do a video breaking down Wales' attack in detail, as well as moving on and covering other games from the Six Nations. I may even stop at some point